Well, hello everybody. Welcome again to another episode of One Stud at a Time with your host, me, Adrian Avila. And today I have the privilege of having Frank Campos here with me, which is a very great, very great friend of mine, which, we'll tell you later on how we met, but, great person, just, has a lot of insight in the sports world, right? And when it comes to competitive travel ball, when it comes to the softball side of it, right? But Frank is also a logistics manager,
Yes.
with operations and everything like that. So he's a leader in where he's at. So it's a great segue of what we're trying to build here and the clients and the people we're trying to talk to. So without ado, I present everybody with Frank Campos.
Pleasure meeting you all.
So, Frank, you know what? Let's just give a little story about, your upbringing, who you are, what you've done in your life, just so the audience has an idea of who Frank Campos is.
Well, definitely, you said it, logistics. I've been in logistics for, a long time, over 20 years, been doing that. And then over, say, 15 years or so, been managing.
Right.
So I've learned to manage my day, learn to manage other people. Not only that too, but also learn to learn different characters, different personalities, I should say. Then married, having kids, and daughter, wanting to learn different sports and stuff like that. And the great thing about it is, both my wife and I, we both play sports and both been athletic. So we're like, let's teach you all the sports and then go from there. You know what I mean? Because we just kind of want to focus just on one sport and then be like, here, do this, right?
Yep.
So she ended up loving softball.
Right.
And then from there, it just exploded. So it was more of me just getting involved with her, because I actually had to pick her up from school and then take her to practice. And then so I was like, let's see how this goes, let's see how the coaches are, all that scenario, right? And I just got to play, at that dad who's taking the balls and stuff like that and throwing them back in and all that. So great deal and stuff, and just saw her, liking it and wanting to do more. She actually got to do some basketball. She's done some volleyball, and then so from there, my coaching, got involved more, and my coaching just exploded as well. And still at this point, I'm still coaching.
Right.
My daughter doesn't play softball anymore.
We'll dive deep. We'll dive deeper into that as the conversation goes.
Yeah, right. That's a whole different episode, right?
Yeah.
But you're probably asking, wait, so your daughter doesn't play, but then you're coaching. Yeah, she's played all her years, and she's gone to college. She's played in college, graduated from college. As a matter of fact, she's still going to college. And one of the things was asked, why are you still coaching? And it's for the love of the game. It's love being out there. Really enjoy seeing them succeed.
Right.
And you're talking about just teenage girls that are from, my youngest is in 8th grade all the way up to 18-year-old.
Right.
And why softball is just something that I've enjoyed. It's a faster game. I would tell you, girls actually pay attention more than boys, because I did coach boys football.
Right.
My background is more football, little baseball, and I've done some soccer. But definitely, for me, in terms of the being competitive, not only that too, but teaching life lessons, and again, at the end is the success of these young ladies, and then it's priceless at the end when they call you or text you or now send you a message through Instagram and say, "Hey, coach, got some great news for you."
Yep.
And
It's a blessing, right?
And they're committed. They're
Yeah.
committed to a college, you know. So it's definitely, definitely that's what I enjoy doing.
Right. And you know, Frank's being very subtle about his daughter. Frank, just I mean, because I'm proud of it because I saw her grow up, right?
Yeah.
As you know, as I saw her. So I mean, just tell the audience like what you know where she went to and what she did because I just want people to know like this girl took on academics and sports. And what did she do?
Well, you mentioned about academics and sports and stuff like that. She definitely has that title of a student athlete. First she's a student. She's always been a student, and then next an athlete. And she went to a 7-day Adventist school. She started there as preschool.
Right.
Us, my wife and I, being young couple, married and stuff like that, trying to figure out, hey, who's gonna take care of our kid, and let's find a preschool, let's find this and that, and we're fortunate to find a school that actually had preschool all the way up to like high school.
Right.
And when she turned 2 years old, we took her to it's called Orangewood Academy.
Right.
Took her there, and then from there, I mean, seeing such a smart kid and stuff like that, we didn't want to take her out. She's just so comfortable there and everything, and that's where she actually became a 3-sport student athlete. She did, like I said, softball. She did volleyball. She played basketball. And one of the things is that she did stop playing basketball. And the reason why she stopped playing basketball is because she was a catcher.
Right.
I mean, she was a legit catcher. And, she didn't want to deal with ACL or any injuries and stuff like that could come with that. So she then just stuck with volleyball and softball. And, at one point, bring up the volleyball is that, she told me, she's like, man, this is her sophomore year. And now, a bit older now, this is her sophomore year now in high school now, right? We jumped so much. But she comes up to me and she's like, Dad, I want to be committed already. I'm like, hold on, hold your horses. You hear this right now about a lot of sophomores or juniors getting committed. That's not how it works.
Right.
I said, slow it down. Be patient. Your time will come. Because if you rush into it, the next thing you know, what's going to happen is you're going to commit somewhere where you're like, oh, man, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Now what? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the good thing is that, she listened to Dad and she was patient. But, to go back, she became a very strong student athlete, honor student. I mean, above 4.0. And one of the biggest thing is, hey, you can't have a boyfriend or have any type of relationship, until you sign your letter of intent.
Typical dad, right, guys?
So definitely, I mean, that pretty much, the boyfriend came after she signed or committed, her letter of intent and stuff like that. And so of all these years of being a student athlete, and putting all that time in education and going to bed at like midnight, 1:00 in the morning and stuff like that, when I got to get up at work at 3:00 in the morning, and she's like, I'm like, wow, okay. And I mean, but she was committed.
Yeah,
she was committed. So with that, she ended up committing to the University of Redlands.
Right.
So
go Bulldogs.
Yeah, right. So being so close, I mean, it was amazing. It was great to have her so close to family and stuff like that, and us, because she could have gone to Ohio, because she was also offered to Ohio, some schools in Louisiana, all kinds of schools up north, south of like California.
Right.
She could have gone anywhere here in California. I mean, well, she did, but I'm talking about like, I mean, anywhere. A lot of these schools were contacted.
She had her picking, huh?
She had options, right? And it, it boiled down to the University of Redlands, and she committed and graduated, and she there also was an honor student, so it continued. She also was very successful in softball.
Yeah.
Also was named a few times second team.
Right.
So she's got some awards. She's actually won some championships. She's actually, I believe, I, I may be ahead, but I think she's going on her second or third ring for winning the conference. So
You see, guys, I tell you, he was downplaying who his daughter was, a lot.
yeah, try to stay humble about
Right.
it. You know
No,
what I mean?
I totally get you. But I mean, and this the reason I'm asking you this is
Yeah.
because as we get deeper into our conversation, the whole mindset as a family plays a part, right?
Yeah.
And so, just a little background about Frank and I. Frank, I met through what I call my bonus kid from, a previous relationship, right?
Yeah. Great kid, by the way.
Great kid,
Great kid. Love her.
Yeah. Witty, I mean, great kid. I mean, the whole team as a whole was a great unit, right? A great team.
Well, that year was amazing.
Yes. Great outings, great trips that we took.
Yeah.
But, I bring you, Frank, because, you bring so much essence and value to these girls that you coach in softball. And that translates into what you do in work, right? It's like it goes hand in hand as being
Absolutely.
a leader.
Yeah.
Right. You're the captain of the ship for both sides of it.
Yeah.
And I've been able to see how your mindset is with both, right? Because I knew you at your what you did at your previous job, what you did with the girls, and what you continue to do with these girls. And so, I come back to it, and it's like, it hasn't been easy, balancing, work with coaching, especially when you're coaching and your kid's not on the team anymore.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a whole different ballgame at that point too when it comes to like family. So
yeah,
everything intermingled together. Right. And so that's why I come back and I say, you know what, like, who am I gonna bring, to this platform?
Yeah.
And you came to mind because of that, right? You are part of what we call, the pathway to our youth becoming adults. So you are a mentor to these I'll call them women now because they are on this path of college, getting their career started, and you were part of it, right? And like you said, you get these messages from them sometimes of, hey, coach, like this is what I'm doing now, and it's a proud moment, right?
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, I was glad to see, my bonus kid go to college and do what she did.
Absolutely.
I see the photo that you
wasn't
guys
the school she was planning on going when she was with me, but
right?
but I'm glad to see that she actually was down south versus up north.
Right, exactly. But we see the whole thing with with these girls and what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And I feel that without you being the captain of the ship and taking them where they had to go, like, where was I going with this? You took them to a whole different level.
Absolutely.
Right? And how they did the sport is how they had to perform in school too.
Exactly.
Right. But you being where you are today, like, how can you say like from what your biggest lesson in life, right? Which is like, well, we'll say it's like the failure that's ever happened in your life. How did that transmit to guiding these girls in their softball careers?
Well, one of the biggest things that I would always bring up is, we're human. We're all going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, I made mistakes as a young coach, but the thing is I've learned from them. That has made me successful along the way as a coach,
right? And
to be able to, understand more of the game, but not only that too, but every single person,
right?
So this game is a game of failure. You're gonna fail no matter what, and it's how you get back up, right? And so, if you're gonna fail, how are you gonna react to it? Like when you get up, okay, if you miss a ball, drops off your glove or you strike out, whatever the case is, how are you gonna react? Because that's a failure.
Yeah.
You just failed right now. So how are you gonna react?
It's the air, right?
It's the air. It's the air. And it's okay. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to have an error. It's okay to have all that. But how are you going to learn from it so you could bounce back? So then, because you're going to get put in that position again.
Yeah.
And then how are you going to react to it? Because it's all about the reaction and perception of how you give these college coaches to be able to, say, hey, I want this girl in my dugout.
Right.
So.
And so, like, I mean, and you said it right? It's about how you get back from it. And people, I mean, there's moments in our lives, no matter, if you're an entrepreneur, you're just, or whoever you are, right? We're all going to fall.
Yeah.
Right? We may fall 100 times, but it's did you get up the 101st time?
Yeah.
Right? And I remember, like, just watching these games with you and just watching how these girls, would kick themselves in the ass sometimes, like,
yeah,
right? And I go to that effect because it's one person can change the whole team, right? And I would see it sometimes, right? We would see it. Yeah. We would see one player would bring the whole team down, or it would bring the team up.
Absolutely.
And so, you being in the position you are now, as and I'm not talking about your coaching side, but even in your work side, people look up to you as the leader, as, hey, this is how we're going to run the ship today, guys, right? And if you're not on top of your game, the rest of the team is on top of their game.
Absolutely.
And so, I go back and I say, okay, like, you as a coach have failed as well, right, with the teams, but it's about the learnings that you got from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so how did those learnings come about, like, in your place of work, or your place in your family, like, because sometimes I know that can transfer over back and forth, even though it's a sport, right?
Yes.
Like, it transfers over into, like, the personal side too, right?
It does. And all my years of coaching has actually helped me also along the way with my career, because obviously I'm in operations logistics. I'm dealing with drivers, and all the drivers have different personalities.
Yeah.
So it's just learning on how to, like, communicate with them.
Yeah.
How to talk to them. And in reality is, how can I get their buy-in? How can I get that person's buy-in to believe in what I am saying?
Right.
And the thing about that is also showing them.
Right.
Okay, getting involved, getting my hands dirty. I was never afraid, to jump in a truck with the driver and be like, hey, let's go.
Right.
Or go on route, or whatever the case is. So a lot of that stuff, I was able to bring my coaching style and bring it into my career and make me successful and put me in the position where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So it's definitely helped. And again, same thing with my coaching is with the girls, failing, is they're, like you said, they're already beating themselves up. Why am I going to go beat them up?
Yeah.
When all I got to do is look at them and they already know, I'm sorry, coach, I failed.
Right? Frank used to wear these glasses, and even though you couldn't see his eyes, these girls knew, but just the look that he gave, they didn't have to see his eyes. They would just be like, oh man, like, I felt it, right? I'd be like, man, I'm like, Frank's giving them the talking, that they need, but, it was always supportive though. And I feel that's, a lot of coaches out there, are, they're just like on their players, like, hard. And it's like, you know what? Their mentality as a player already is difficult. Yes. And now you're throwing, gas into the fire, and it's not helping.
Yeah.
Right? I was in Vegas a few weeks ago watching my girlfriend's nephew play baseball. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal player. Right? The coach on the other team, though, the biggest hothead. I saw hotheads at, our softball games, right?
Softball games, yeah.
But this guy, like, was screaming up a storm to his players. And I'm like, man, I go, do you not know the effect you're giving these players Absolutely. Right now? They're not going to hold on to it just for that moment. Yeah. They're going to hold on for a while.
Absolutely.
Right? And it could be to their career, right? Because, what we tell individuals, it gets stuck with them.
Absolutely. I've gotten players that have come and played for me that have actually played for other successful coaches.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I would always get from these players, these student athletes, is they enjoy my coaching style.
Yeah.
They like the fact that they're not getting yelled at for everything,
Yeah.
but they were still performing.
Yeah.
They were still performing. We were still winning games. We were still being successful. The only, I mean, really the difference was I wasn't yelling at them.
Right.
They already knew what I was going to talk about. But it was a conversation. I'm treating them as an adult. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about what could we have done better.
Right.
What could you have done better?
Right.
What if you would approach it this way versus that way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the thing about it is just it's also teaching them life lessons because again, they're gonna use that and take it to when they're adults in their career, and they may have to manage at one point, and they're gonna be like, you know what? I remember someone who used to talk to me like this.
Yeah.
You know, can we talk over here? Let's have a conversation. Step out of the office. Do whatever. Hey, let's talk about this. What
Right.
could we have done? What could we, do this? And next thing you know, they start building a successful team
Correct.
and stuff like that. So it's definitely, I've learned along the way. It's about your approach. It's how you really talk to someone. You know, are you going to get someone's reaction by yelling at them?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not.
No.
You're going to get a more reaction and better results if you actually talk to them and they'll actually listen to you. It's not going to go. Your message is not going to go in one ear and go out the other. You know.
And so, that being said, like as a coach, like what do you feel has been like probably your biggest lesson in life? That you've been able to share with your athletes, or even with people at work, right? Because us as leaders, we go through fucking some trials, right? We go through some difficult times, and there's moments where we're questioning what we're doing with what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel that you as a leader in both sides, like your athletes or even your coworkers, they look up to you as like, like you got a moment to talk. Because I've had people who have asked me like, hey Adrian, you got a moment to talk? And I mean, you're talking about construction dudes, right? That there's like no emotions, and sometimes it's like, hey Adrian, I need to talk to somebody, and I'm like, okay, like let's go through it, right? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And I've gone through some shit, right? And so
Yeah.
we've all gone through it, but sometimes our people have to hear like, man, you went through this hard time, like how'd you get out of it?
Yeah.
So my question to you really is like, what's a difficult time that you've gone through that you've actually been, like you've utilized those learnings from it to help others?
The lessons that I've learned is just it's patience.
Yeah.
Patience is like the biggest thing of everything. Everything has its place and everything has its time. So for me, the stuff is gonna get done no matter what. For me at a job, there's urgency, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I want quality. I don't want quantity. You know what I mean? So let's perfect this, because if we could perfect it, then we could work on our efficiency.
Yeah.
And then we could get better on that, right? Because the thing is that if we just start focusing on everything at once, then we're not going to be perfect. So the lessons I've learned is being patient, and then listening to that person on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And they could be whining and this and that, but just the fact that I was there listening to what they had to say,
Yeah.
they appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much lessons I learned is just having that patience and really listening to someone and understanding what they're talking about to be able to assist either them or anybody else that may come across.
Yeah. I mean, and especially in the sports world, right? I mean, these girls are full of emotion sometimes.
Yes.
And it's brought onto the field. And, I know there's been times where you had to like pull a player out and be like, look, like all the other players stay back. Let me talk to you really quick.
Yes.
Right. And it's like that moment that they're at their breaking point and you're able to like, hold on, take a deep breath
Yeah.
and just give yourself, credit for what you've done, right?
Absolutely.
And I mean, how many girls haven't you done that with, right?
It's been plenty of girls. As a matter of fact, I mean, there's been girls that I've come across like every year where they're about to quit,
Yeah.
and it's like, wait, you've gone this far. Like, why would you want to quit now? And they feel like having that pressure. They feel like the stress. Feel like what, ain't no school gonna want me.
Right.
Wait, hold on. Let's keep plugging away.
Yeah.
Let's keep working at it. It's going to turn around. You just got to be patient. Everything's going to have its course. Like, you can't rush into things.
Yeah.
So there's just so many factors in it. And at the end of that, yeah, I mean, been successful on turning things around,
Yeah.
and girls end up staying. Next thing you know, they're getting committed to a college.
Right.
And then pull them off to the side and said, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. See,
Remember a
just
few
the
weeks
patience.
ago?
Remember a few weeks ago, we had this conversation.
Right.
So, again, it's just those failures along the way. You learn and you turn to, or you learn how to be able to react to those, and how to put those fires out, and how to deal with it to be able to turn things around. I always tell my players, it's like, look, there's going to be negativity everywhere you go. But if you could turn that negativity into a positive, you're going to see the results. You're going to see something different, because if you make it, if it's negative, then, and if you keep accepting that negativity, then you're going to become negative.
Yep.
It's
what we how is it, the way we look at things is what we're going to attract, right?
Absolutely.
And so I tell everybody, it's like, dude, the moment you start thinking negative, you're only going to get negativity.
Yeah.
But if we look at the positive of what that situation is, it'll get us out of our funk, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that was always my big thing with Lulu. And I tell her, like, dude, girl, you're doing good.
Yeah.
You know what? But we just got to keep performing and keep doing what we do, right? Because there's somebody else out there that's working just 10 times as harder as you.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I tell everybody, it's like, you know what? Like, it's okay to beat yourself up.
Yes, it is.
But don't carry it around with you.
No.
Because then you start believing this belief that's not even true.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Your lie becomes a truth.
Yeah.
And so how long are you going to believe your lie, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, these girls are phenomenal players. Like,
absolutely.
I mean, I can tell you, I would watch them and I'm like, it's like an orchestra playing sometimes. Yeah. It's like there was movement, right? It flowed.
And they're I mean, have become great, successful people.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I mean, they're still going to school.
Yeah.
There's some that have already graduated.
Yep.
There's one that's working on her doctorate.
He doesn't want to say who, but we all know who.
And there's still girls playing.
Yeah.
There's still from that class. There's still girls playing. So I mean, it's seeing it. I mean, it's a success. You know what I mean? And just knowing that I was part of that. I mean, I'm not like patting myself on the shoulder or anything like that. I mean, to me, just seeing it, I'm like grateful. I'm like, hey, I'm happy for you guys, because again, the things that they could take from what they learned there and then put it into life, I mean, it's just making life better.
Yeah. And I mean, and like I said, like I was honored to have had Lulu in my life, because I mean, it was great to see that, right? It was great to see her growing up, her getting accepted or getting signed with the college and everything like that, and to where she is today in San Diego. Like, you know what? Like,
and hitting a home run her freshman year.
Oh yeah,
in college.
Exactly.
I mean, that's amazing.
It is amazing, right? Yeah. And I mean, but she was dedicated, but and she had moments where she was like, dude, like, I'm done. And we went through that, right? We went through it. But she came back.
Yeah.
Right? She came back, and that's kind of like the message we want to perceive is like, you know what, dude, even though you feel like it's time to give up, maybe it's just a time to step back and reflect. Like, man, like,
it's okay to like take a break. I mean, obviously don't take a huge break, but I mean, it's okay to, you got to step back.
Yeah.
You have to hit the brakes and be like, hold on, let me back up a little bit,
Right.
regroup yourself,
Yeah.
and then go. I mean, come on, it's just like weightlifting, right? When you can't hit your sets, I mean, you got to stop,
Yeah.
reset, and then go hit it again,
Yep.
right? So it's the same thing. So it's
Sometimes you gotta find your pump again. You know,
you
just,
gotta you gotta figure out, you gotta find that pump. So I mean,
Yeah.
everything we do, whether it's sports, whether it's life, or whatever the case is, all this just comes into play.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of people that know how to react to it, or they don't have the guidance or the mentoring to do it. So.
And that's why I mean, that's why I say like you are like one of few coaches that, you know, you didn't do this for the money because let's be frank, right? Like there's
I'm not getting paid for this.
Right.
I'm not getting paid for this.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, it's just something that I'm enjoying. I'm having fun with, and seeing the success of these student athletes.
But because of you, like you've made an impact on these kids and that are now adults.
Absolutely.
And I just feel that, you know, there has to be more people like us who are willing to take the reins, I guess you can say, right? And guide our youth into becoming better.
Yeah.
Right. We're in a world, I tell people right now, we're in a world of revolution where things are changing.
Absolutely.
Right? Things are changing in the world right now. Like things are a little funky, right? Like let's be honest with it. It's funky right now. Some kids don't know what they want. You know, some kids are like, man, I'm ready to become this entrepreneur. I want to climb the corporate ladder, right? But there's nobody to guide them during that time.
No.
Right. And so I just feel that, you know, with people like us and everybody that we're bringing around here, it's like, you know what? There's a hope for society for real action to happen.
Yeah.
Right. And so I applaud for what you do because not many people step up to the plate the way you do. Right. To do this for, you know, for free, basically on a monetary side. But, you know, you're donating your time at the same time.
Absolutely.
And it's time you're not going to get back. Right. But it's everything that comes with it. Right. You get these memories with the teams. Right. You know, we create this relationship of that's long lasting. Right?
Yes. Yes.
And so, you know, I like I said, I applaud you for it. And
I appreciate that.
You know, I've been fortunate to have been, like I said, part of this journey with you. And like I said, I mean, I you know, from watching them to, you know, pumping up the girls when we were out there, right?
Yeah.
You know, over there's, you know, sweet talking to the Blues to make sure they keep it calm with us. You know?
Oh my gosh, it's a constant deal with me talking to the umpires.
Yeah.
So
I mean, those are the attitudes you got to deal with, right?
Exactly. And so, you got to get that right call, right?
And so that's why, you know, I just feel like it's just great, right? It's great that you do this, and, you know, like you said, you're retiring pretty soon from it.
Yeah, I've actually I had to tell myself, you know, that I'm gonna be retiring. So I'll be retiring in a couple years. At that time, I have another child. I have a son.
Yes,
that's he's gonna be a senior. He plays basketball, and you know, he's training. He definitely has some big shoes to fill because obviously, you know, sister's
getting a white coat, guys. A white coat.
Well, hey, she set the tone though, man. She set the bar up high for this guy.
Alexis Campos, I just want you to know I am very proud of you. You know, we're seeing you go through injuries after injuries, right?
Oh,
and then recovering from it. Like, that is what we've done.
She kept going.
But she kept going. And that's one thing, like, I tell everybody, you know what? It's when the getting gets tough, right? Yeah. Just keep pushing through it, and we'll get through it.
Absolutely. You're going to have obstacles. Yeah. I mean, you just got to learn how to get back up, you know?
Life didn't give us a manual, right?
Exactly.
And so, like, with that being said, like, I know you took a tour of McKinley.
Yes.
Right? And, you know, these kids don't have the luxuries as, you know, our kids have, right? Of being able to do that. And so, you know, my whole purpose of being part of this McKinley thing is, you know, just bringing awareness to people of like, hey, you know, like there's this other side that we can help, right? Yes. And again, you've helped kids, you know, girls with the softball and everything like that. But like, what do you think about the facility first off? Like,
The facility is great. I like what they have to offer and stuff like that. And there's definitely a lot of room here to add on to and
Yeah,
stuff like that. And what they do here for the kids, I think it's amazing.
yeah,
Um, you don't see that everywhere. I mean, I didn't even know this place exists until I walked up. I was like, what's going on here, right? Where's Adrian taking me?
Where's Adrian taking me to?
So, but knowing, first of all, when you called me and we're talking and stuff like that, and shared, the story uh, behind this and stuff like that, it's I mean, it's awesome. It's
Yeah,
amazing. And what people do here, because I know there's people. I mean, I say people. I'm talking about these young kids that are living here,
yeah,
and to have that 24 hours and stuff like that. I mean, they're doing the same thing. They're giving back. They're
yeah,
for these kids, and to me, I think that's amazing,
yeah,
and seeing some of the stuff and just the different things here. I mean,
yeah.
even the autism and stuff like that. I mean, that's great.
Great stuff, right?
It is.
And so I look at it because it's like, you know what, like, you've coached so many kids before, and I just like, to me it's like, you know what, like, I want them to hear a message from the coach, right? Like, hey, like, you know what, like, I've worked with kids, like, I know what's up.
Hmm.
And so being able for them to be able to, just listen to us and be part of it, I think is great. And if there's one thing that you could tell, like, you've seen what these kids live in and everything, but if you go back to when you were 13, what would you tell yourself at that 13-year-old mark?
Oh man, you don't want to know what I told myself, 13-year-old. The thing is, because at a young age, also playing ball and everything, it's don't give up. Just keep going. You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get injured, but it doesn't last. It goes away.
Yeah,
So it's just continuing to do what you love, continuing to do what you're passionate about. It doesn't matter whether it's reading, it's writing, it's drawing, it's singing, it's playing an instrument, to sports, whatever the case is. Just keep doing it,
yeah,
and don't lose that love, and don't be afraid of trying different new things.
yeah,
Don't be afraid of trying new things, and again, at the end of the day, it's you know, keep practicing,
yep,
keep doing it, because especially when you're doing it when no one's watching, that's when you're growing.
that's right.
That's when you're growing. So
I
just
love
keep
it.
doing it.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yep.
I love it. Well, you know what, everybody, like Frank says, we're always growing, right? And it's when people aren't watching. And
Yeah,
those moments are in our dark times, right? When we're
absolutely.
contemplating why we do what we do. It's when we're questioning, why is God doing this to us, right? Or it's that moment where, we're second guessing, should I continue doing this?
Yeah.
And once we get through that and we break through it, that's when our true growth happens.
Well, we said when going back when you're talking about 13 is bad things happen for the good to come.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just you got to turn that negativity into a positive, and
Yeah.
that's when you turn that bad into a good,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll see the difference.
Yeah.
You just can't say no. No is not in your vocabulary. Just, you know what? I'm gonna keep going. So me, who's in the trucking industry, I always say just keep trucking.
There you go.
So
Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in over here at our, One Step at a Time podcast. Again, this is Frank Campos, awesome
thank you
coach.
for having
guys.
me.
No, thank you for coming down, Frank,
A
and
pleasure.
doing this, man. I greatly appreciate it. I am honored to have been part of, your organization and everything.
Appreciate that.
And, Semper Fi Bulldogs,
Semper Fi Bulldogs, definitely.
There we go. If you guys are interested in the program that he's part of for your students, travel ball, softball, we'll send you the information over, and we'll get that to you guys.
Or even any consultation on what the next step is in college and stuff like that. I don't charge or anything, so don't hesitate to call me. I will give some some education for free. It's not a problem.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Well, we'll see you on the next one, you guys. Peace.